You gonna help? Yeah. I tried to put him in the, what we call the baby jail, just like his area with the playpen thing, and he was not having it. So he's going to be joining us today. We'll see for how long, because he's already antsy. But we just had lunch, yes, and now we're going to film. Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have a ginormous June book haul. Now, I have said this in almost every single book haul video. I have been trying not to buy a ton of books. And I have been trying to purchase 2 new books for every 1 book that I do read.
Hold up, 2 new books for 1 book?
Oh, did I say it wrong?
No.
Okay.
Wait.
You should have seen. I completely said that wrong, and my husband ran in here with like his finger out like, what are you talking about? Rewind. I am allowed to buy 1 new book for every 2 books I read. That makes so much more sense, right? It should. However, in order to haul all of the books that I currently have here, I have to read 20 books in June. We have about a week, maybe a little less than a week left, and I'm currently reading my 11th book. So I'm a little behind. I'm gonna haul them anyway and then just try not to buy books. Next month, we'll see if that works or not. One other thing I did want to say is that some of the books that I do have here are from Book Outlet. I did not do a dedicated Book Outlet unboxing for them because this is an order that I did place at the end of May. And after what Book Outlet said on Twitter about their blogger or vlogger friend, I don't even know how they say it, their friend program, I and quite a few other people on BookTube and in the book community have decided to not support them anymore. If they can eventually show that they are actually improving with their actions, especially with Black members of the book community, maybe I will go back to them, but as of right now, this is not going to happen. My order was already coming in, and so this is the last time you guys will probably hear about Book Outlet for who knows how long. I'm not even going to specify where exactly I bought these books because some of them are Book Outlet, some of them I did purchase full price or, you know, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble with, you know, those discounts. So, yeah, that's the last time you guys are going to hear about that. I do have 25 books here. 2 of them are for my son. We will do those first. Some of them are young adult, but the majority, which I'm a little surprised. I feel like I shouldn't be fully surprised about it because this year especially, I have found myself reading more of an even mix between young adult and new adult / adult titles. But the majority I have here are adults, like a big majority. And I'm very excited for that because I do feel like I still love YA, and I don't know, some of the adult books that I've been getting into have had the focus of character development and relationships and family and plot that I like from YA. And I found similarities in some of the adult stuff that I've been reading, and I've just been really loving it lately. So yes, a lot of the stuff I have here is going to be adult. So I guess we're gonna be working our way from the baby books up to the adult books. We look very reddish orange in this camera right now. I don't know why. It's on auto, so we'll see. So like I said, the first 2 books we have here are for my son. One is Animal Colors and one is Animal Numbers. I don't even know if he'll let us really show it. There we go, Animal Numbers. These are just cardboard books for him that have different like colors in it. The color one also I think has patterns of like some of the animal stuff. I love the art style, and they do have slightly raised parts of the pictures so he can touch it. And then the numbers, same thing about the slightly raised parts of the book so you can touch them, but it's just counting animals from 1 through 20. So these are his new books. I try to get him at least 1 or 2 books every single month just because we read books quite often and it's always good to have some new ones. These are for you. Did you want to hold one? No? Yes? No? Maybe. No, I think he just wants to be here with us. Like, he's looking at them, but he doesn't want to hold them. Okay, and so the next stuff that we're gonna go into is going to be the young adult section. So the first 2 books that I'm gonna show you here were from the May Owl Crate that actually came in at the beginning of June. I will leave that video linked down below for you guys as well because I already have forgotten what the synopsis of this is. It's been on my TBR on Goodreads since before we got this in Owl Crate. I am not the best person with remembering synopses. Some of them, sure. Especially if I've read them, I feel like I get that a little bit better. But other ones that I want to read, I might remember vague details. I will try my best to give you guys what things are if I remember. But so we do have Incendiary by Zoraida Cordova. This is a young adult fantasy. And it says, I am Renata Convida. I have lived 100 stolen lives. Now I live my own. So apparently Renata was brought up in the kingdom or in the king's palace maybe as a memory thief, but now as she is older she is working as sort of like a rebel spy. And apparently there's probably going to be some romance in here because it says when Des, the commander of her unit and the boy she's grown to love, is taken captive by the notorious Principe Dorado, Renata must return to Andalusia and complete Des's top secret mission herself. Yes. YA fantasy. It actually is quite heavy for what it is, so it, you know, the book was put together really, really well. And I'm very excited for it. I don't remember much, like I said, but it is something that I've had on my TBR since, since it was announced, basically. Then, in that Owl Crate, we also received a graphic novel, and this is Witchy by Ariel Slamet Rise. This is a graphic novel about witches where their power is related to how long their hair is, but I believe there was something about if your hair gets too long or you're too powerful, you could be like in trouble for that. It just seems very intriguing. Yeah, the Witch Guard enforce the law in peacetime and protect the land during war. However, those with hair judged too long are pronounced enemies of the kingdom and annihilated. So magic tied to the length of their hair. The art style is looking pretty good. So I'm very excited to read this one as well. You can't have it, it's Mummy's. It is pretty though, right? Yeah. You can't actually have that one. I'm so sorry about that. The next one we have here is Spirit by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the 3rd book in the Elemental series, which is a like YA paranormal romance. It's paranormal for sure. I feel like romance is not like the heaviest focus, but it is pretty heavy in there. By her before she started doing like more of her contemporaries and fantasies that she does now. I purchased this off of eBay because they are out of print, and I read the first one years ago, owned the second, wanted to get the third. I think I might do a sort of like late 2000s, early 2010s, like YA paranormal reading vlog or something like that, because I did end up reading Anna Dressed in Blood last month, which came out early 2010s, I want to say, and it actually held up really well and was really good. And I remember really enjoying the first one of this, so that's sort of why I bought it. I found it on eBay for, you know, basically the price of the book with a little bit of shipping, but it's out of print, so I had to get it. Then we picked up The Echo Room by Parker Peavyhouse. This is one that I don't know much about. I read a Parker Peavyhouse Strange Exit, I believe it was, at the very beginning of this year. I think it was like the first book I read in January, and enjoyed that one. That was like a sci-fi mental things going on. Like, it's hard to describe. It's definitely sci-fi, but it also was semi-mysterious, and this is one of the first books that they have written, and I don't know much about it. I do have another Parker PV House, Where Futures End, as well, so I think I'm just slowly getting the backlist of Parker PV House because I did enjoy Strange Exit. Interesting. I don't know much about this. I don't even know how to really describe it. It almost feels like a mysterious sort of like Groundhog's Day, you know, sort of. Apparently our main character is Rhett, and he wakes up in a small locked depot with no memory of how he got there. He can't hide from anyone, not even the stranger in the next room, or from the fact that there's someone else's blood on his jumpsuit, and every time he tries to escape, he wakes right back up where he started. This, I don't think I actually knew what it was about when I purchased it, but I'm very intrigued. And then I purchased 2 books in a duology. The first one we have here is Dreamfall by Amy Plum, and then we also have Neverwake. So these are books that, again, I've had on my TBR for a while. They are YA. I think, again, they're sort of mysterious. They might even be a little bit paranormal. Sleep comes easily for most people, but it is an impossible dream for Kata, Fergus, and the 5 other teens who volunteered to take part in a radical new treatment. They suffer from devastating insomnia and are desperate for help. So desperate that they're willing to undergo an experimental procedure that has only ever been tested on one other patient. They're supposed to be the beta group, but this time nothing goes as planned. So they end up in a shared dream world with no memory of the experiment, and they're trying to figure out exactly what happened to them, and I think there's like nightmares that come to life. He just dropped his book so he could pick up Neverwake, which was on my lap. But yeah, they wanted dreams, what they got were nightmares. So I feel like this is gonna be, maybe not actually paranormal, because I mean, if they're in a dream world, so maybe this is more like fabulism-ish with a little bit of like horror. I'm very excited for these. You can't actually read them, there's no pictures. I mean, I'm very glad that he likes books. That was, you know, oh, Dreamfall's blue underneath. That was one of the things I was very, you know, wanting to do with him, is make sure he likes books and he knows I like books. But at this point in time, I would like him to not like my books as much as his books. So those actually were all of the YA books that I purchased. And now we're going to be getting into the adult books. I think I'm going to just sort of go genre-wise, sort of. Okay, so like I was trying to say, I think we're going to go by genre. I absolutely love sci-fi, and I've been trying to get more into adult sci-fi. And by trying to get into more, I've been buying the books, haven't been reading them as much, but I do have some here that I'm very excited for. The first one I actually talked about in my mid-year book freakout tag, which I will leave linked down below, but I'm very, very excited for this. Definitely need to read it by the end of the year. But this is Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. I fully bought this for the cover. It is absolutely stunning, but also it has cats. And this says on the front, kidnappers, alien emperors, psychic cats, and she's out of coffee. And then the back is what really got me. It's there's a blurb by Curtis C. Chen, and it says, imagine if Firefly and Mass Effect got together and had a baby, and that baby were delivered by Guillermo del Toro. This book is that baby. Firefly, Mass Effect. I am so ready for this. I'm really hoping that this is going to be good. This does have own voices in the fact that Valerie Valdez is Cuban American, and I believe the main character is as well. I have read a sci-fi adult book with a bilingual main character before that I absolutely hated, but I think that was partially because the writing was not very good and the author was white. She did not know how to incorporate the Spanish in there in a logical way, and I'm really hoping that this one is able to incorporate that better. I took like 3 years of Spanish in high school and a whole like advanced semester in college where it's basically like 1 year combined. So while I'm not fluent in Spanish anymore, and probably was not like super fluent back then either, I know enough to know that the words that the people usually put into the book when people are trying to be bilingual, and I'm really hoping that this works out, because I mean, look at it. Then I also picked up Polaris Rising by Jessie Mielek. I'm probably saying that name completely wrong. I need to look that up before I actually read and review this. This one is one that has been on my TBR for a while, and I don't fully remember what it is about. A space princess on the run and a notorious outlaw soldier become unlikely allies in this imaginative, sexy space opera adventure, the first in an exciting science fiction trilogy. Okay, so it seems like we're definitely gonna have some romance in this, which I like a side of romance with my sci-fi or fantasy, and so that sounds amazing. I don't think I really want to read too much about it else, but I've had this on my list for a while, and so I finally picked it up. Now we're getting into a couple sci-fi books I don't know much else about except for the fact that they are adult sci-fi, but we do have Starship Repo by Patrick S. Tomlinson. This one says, humanity just discovered that the universe is full of sentient life. That sentient life just discovered human teenagers. Oh, okay. Interesting. I do want to say that I don't know if it's called hard sci-fi, but I really do prefer the sci-fi that's like in space and there's aliens of some sort. I feel like that just is aces to me. So that almost always will hook me if you have aliens in your sci-fi, especially if they're not like humanoid aliens. Says, first name, last name is a no one with nowhere to go, with a name that's the result of an unfortunate clerical error and the sad reality that she is one of the only humans on an alien space station. Things aren't looking too great. Her only entertainment is streaming rock soap operas with her sentient stone roommate. Her source of food is the occasional ability to digest alien cuisine, and her only income is living off the kindness, read ignorance of all her best cons, of strangers. Okay. Yeah, I'm very excited. There's like a living rock creature. Reminds me of Korg a little bit. So I'm very excited for this one as well. It's also very glary here. And then the last sci-fi I picked up was Terminal Alliance. It's book 1 of the Janitors of the Post-Apocalypse by Jim C. Hines. Mainly I picked it up because we have this like, I want to say worm, but he has legs. Maybe it's more of like a centipede alien character. And this one says, the Krakow came to Earth to invite humanity into a growing alliance of sentient species, but they hadn't counted on a mutated plague wiping out half the human population, turning the rest into shambling, near unstoppable animals, and basically destroying human civilization. You know, your standard apocalypse. The Krakow's first impulse was to turn around and go home. After all, it's hard to have diplomatic relations with mindless savages who eat your diplomats. Their second impulse was to try to fix us. Now, a century later, human beings might not be what they once were, but at least they're no longer trying to eat everyone. Mostly. Okay. I feel like this is going to be very, very funny. I mean, I should have guessed that in general because it's the janitors of the post-apocalypse. I'm very, very excited for this. I've not read a Jim C. Hines, but I'm pretty sure he's like sort of famous in this genre. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Next, we have The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This one I've had on my list for a while, but I've been seeing everybody pick this up lately, and I just feel like I had to bite the bullet and actually purchase it. I don't know much about it, except for I do believe it is a like sort of like post-apocalyptic, or maybe it's current apocalyptic fantasy where like the weather, I believe, is part of the apocalypse. Like that's part of the problem. I've heard that this has lots of incredible rep and lots of LGBTQ rep as well. Like I think there's a poly relationship. There's I think they said there's trans characters, non-binary characters. There's just a whole host of characters in here, and part of it is written in second person. Not the whole thing, but part of it. And I'm very intrigued, and so definitely want to get to this. Next, we have A Study in Honor by Claire Odell. This one is some sort of Sherlock Holmes inspired book, but I do believe both our like Sherlock character and Watson character are female. Dr. Janet Watson knows firsthand the horrifying cost of a divided nation. While she was treating broken soldiers on the battlefields of the new Civil War, a sniper's bullet shattered her arm and ended her career. Honorably discharged and struggling with the semi-functional mechanical arm that replaced the limb she lost, she returns to the nation's capital, a bleak, edgy city in the throes of a fraught presidential election. Homeless, jobless, and still heartbroken over a bad breakup with her girlfriend, Watson is uncertain of her future when she meets Sarah Holmes, a mysterious yet playfully challenging covert agent who offers the doctor a place to stay. Yeah, I'm already on board. Two female characters in the place of Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, and one of them apparently at least has relationships with women. I'm ready for this. Then I also picked up An Illusion of Thieves by Kate Glass. In Catagna, being a sorcerer is a death sentence. Romy escapes her hardscrabble upbringing when she becomes courtesan to the Shadow Lord, a revolutionary noble who brings to all laws and comforts once reserved for the wealthy. When her brother Neri is caught thieving with the aid of magic, Romy's aristocratic influence is the only thing that can spare his life, and the price is her banishment. Now back in Polaris Rising, she just has her wits and her own long-hidden sorcery to help her and Neri survive. But when a plot to overthrow the Shadow Lord and incite civil war is uncovered, only Romy knows how to stop it. To do so, she'll have to rely on newfound abilities, a swordmaster, a silversmith, and her own thieving brother. And they'll need the very thing that could condemn them all, magic. Then I also bought the first two books in a fantasy series. It's at least a trilogy. I believe there is a third book. But the first one is Song of Blood and Stone, and the second one is Whispers of Shadow and Flame. These are much thicker than I thought they were going to be. I didn't look up page count, but the covers are absolutely gorgeous, and so I had to pick them up. And it just says, El Penelope's Song of Blood and Stone is a treacherous, thrilling, epic fantasy about an outcast drawn into a war between two powerful rulers. All Jasminda ever wanted was to live quietly on her farm, away from the prying eyes of those in the nearby town. Branded an outcast by the color of her skin and her gift of earth song, she's been shunned all her life and has learned to steer clear of the townsfolk, until a group of Lagrimari soldiers wander into her valley with an Elsiran spy, believing they are still in Lagrimar. Through Jack the Spy, Jasminda learns that the mantle is weakening, allowing people to slip through without notice, and even more troubling, Lagrimar is mobilizing. Interesting. Oh, and I skipped the first paragraph because I didn't think it was going to be matter, but then the very first sentence of it said, the kingdoms of Elsira and Lagrimar have been separated for centuries by the mantle, a magical veil that has enforced a tremulous peace between the two lands. I probably should have read that. So we have two lands separated by a magical veil. She can do earth song, and apparently there's some sort of like, probably war or something that's going to happen because of the fact that the mantle is disappearing. I don't know, but I want it. Next, we have Dragon Age Deception. This is a graphic novel for Dragon Age, or I guess it's probably a comic bind-up. I have a couple other ones back here. Like, I have Mage Killer and Knight Errant. Those are only in paperback, and I've only ever found this one in hardcover. And I know the new one, I don't remember what that one is called. I will put a picture here just so you guys can see it really quick. That one is also going to be in hardcover, coming out later this year. I'm just very excited. This is all like extra stuff for Dragon Age. Doesn't fully have to tie into the games, but I know you sometimes see like cameos of characters that you knew in the games. In this one, when knights, thieves, and mages can't get a job done, the Inquisition needs a con artist with legendary guile. Yeah, I want to say most of them are tied to Dragon Age Inquisition. I think one of these, either Mage Killer or Knight Errant, tied a little bit into Dragon Age 2. But yeah, I'm just very excited. I love comic bind-ups and graphic novels, and I needed this one because I love Dragon Age. Then we have the Monster of Elendhaven. I think I'm saying that right. The Monster of Elendhaven by Jennifer Geisbrecht. I think it's German. I don't know. It's blurred by Joe Hill. I didn't even know that. But this is a Tor novella, so this is gonna be very short and easy to get to. And this one is more of like a dark fantasy horror type of book as far as I'm remembering. The city of Elendhaven sulks on the edge of the ocean, racked by plague, abandoned by the south, stripped of industry and left to die. But not everything dies so easily. A thing without a name stalks the city, a thing shaped like a man, with a dark heart and long pale fingers yearning to wrap around throats. A monster who cannot die. Yeah, apparently there's even multiple monsters. These monsters of Elendhaven will have their revenge on everyone who wronged the city, even if they have to burn the world to do it. I'm very excited. I'm hit or miss with short story and novellas. It really depends on how it's written, but I'm really excited. I loved the cover, so I had to pick it up. And then our last fantasy here is Magician's Impossible by Brad Abram. 20-something bartender Jason Bishop's world is shattered when his estranged father apparently commits suicide, but the greater shock comes when he learns his father was a secret agent in the employ of the Invisible Hand, an ancient society of spies wielding magic in a centuries-spanning war. Now the Golden Dawn, the shadowy cabal of witches and warlocks responsible for his father's murder and the death of his mother years before, have Jason in their sights. His survival will depend on his mastering his own dormant magical abilities, provided he makes it through the training. Again, just a fantasy that intrigued me enough that I had to pick it up. So now, the rest of the books we have here are basically contemporary adult romances. So first, we have the entire Reluctant Royals series by Alyssa Cole. I've already read A Princess in Theory, and we'll get to this in my wrap-up coming soon. But these are all contemporary adult romances that deal with royalty, and I think they're all friends that are sort of intertwined. So these are like companion books to each other. This first one here has Naledi and Prince Thabiso. She is a grad student and he is a prince from a country in Africa who apparently they had been betrothed when they were younger. We also have a Duke by Default. This one follows Portia, Naledi's best friend, and some sort of Scottish sword maker, I think, who is, I think, also a duke. I don't know much. I don't want to look into them too much. I'm going to be reading this next month though, just FYI. And then we also have A Prince on Paper. This one follows Naya, who is Naledi's cousin, and Johann, I believe. Yes, the red-headed step prince of Lichtenberg. Lichtenberg, is that, maybe? Ooh, that blurred. Lichtenberg, I'm pretty sure is what it is. Again, very excited for these. And then the last two books are also in a series with each other. The first one is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and the second is Take a Hint, Dani Brown, again by Talia Hibbert. This one just came out Tuesday. For me, that was yesterday, and I actually got it the same day. I was super, super excited. I have not read either of these yet. I do believe they follow sisters in their dating life. These are romances. I'm very, very excited. I've heard nothing but good things actually about both. This one, the reviews have just been coming out for it because people that have gotten ARCs are talking about it, but yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. I'm very, very excited for these. And that's it. I hear my baby in the other room, so I'm gonna be going. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays and Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, and I will see you guys then. Bye!